Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. It's September 19th, and we are welcoming new admins. My name is Rachel Cox. I am on the support to training team here at JMC, and today I'm joined by Brian Wall. Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Rachel. I'm Brian Wall. I'm a client services specialist for JMC. I retired as an educator in June of 2023 after 34 years in education, 10 in the classroom as a high school math teacher, and the last 24 as a middle school and high school principal.
Great. And Brian is a great resource here as a former school admin. He's going to have lots of tips and tricks for you as we move through this webinar. So today we're going to explore the top tools for keeping tabs on student progress, like the admin dashboard, where your team can view data on attendance, discipline, and more in one spot to help identify students who need extra support. Think about introducing RTI, response to intervention, into the classroom. Then you're going to love our Flex Scheduler. From helping you closely monitor student behavior to tracking graduation credits, JMC Office is designed to streamline your most pressing tasks so that you and your team can then set students on the path to success. So some key topics that we're going to cover today. We'll look at the ins and outs of the admin dashboard, understanding JMC's Flex Scheduler, using the credit checker to track graduation credits, an overview on the discipline module, and an overview of the message center in JMC Office. So we'll start by utilizing the admin dashboard. JMC's admin dashboard is a dynamic tool for viewing and sorting important student data such as attendance, discipline, and communication, as well as lunch, tuition, and fee account information. Customize viewable data, sort the students included in your report, and export your list to a CSV file to quickly identify students who might be considered at risk all from one handy page within the admin dashboard in JMC Office. So one of the strengths of the admin dashboard is the capability of accessing precise information for the individual students or groups of students you're looking for. So on your admin dashboard here, you can narrow the range of students included in your admin dashboard report using the following options. So you can sort by grade here on the top. So if a student's in a specific grade level, or you can combine the grade filter with the student advisor, all of these you can kind of pick and choose to create the combination that really helps you narrow in on those students that you want to identify. So like I said, we've got grade, we've got student, we've got advisor, teacher, and activity. So a lot of options to really pinpoint the report to get you the data that you really need. On the student and student settings tabs, you can quickly customize and view a list of student data items such as student ID, grade, birth date, class rank, total tardies, discipline referrals, communication records, and cumulative GPA. Even sort the list to view students and data in ascending or descending order. So a lot of ways here to identify and view those students, and you get a ton of information here on this report. Your student tab, so right here, the student tab views, you can view a wide variety of information, including hand-selected items, primary contact information, activities, medical emergency plans to quickly access the student scope, all from the student tab in the admin dashboard. And then you've got the student settings tab here. Customize the student data items displayed on the student tab of the admin dashboard report to include cumulative GPA, class rank, total tardies, total absences, and more. So on the student settings tab here, you are customizing the view that you would have here on the student tab.
Yeah, the nice thing, all this data resides somewhere in JMC Office already, but with this dashboard, you're able to kind of pick and choose and even combine things that you want to look at one time.
Yeah, exactly. It's bringing together all the data that you're already importing and then just having it in one handy location. You've got the building tab here. You can keep your fingers on the pulse of your school by easily viewing cumulative data for the different grade levels in your building. View the average GPA for a grade level or the entire school, along with the total number of absences and tardies, discipline and communication referrals by grade level, and total lunch and tuition and fees balances for the school, all from that buildings tab in the admin dashboard. And then you can configure at-risk settings. So this is a big one. You can keep tabs on students who might be in danger of falling into an at-risk category due to attendance, low grades, or discipline referrals. Simply configure your at-risk settings on the early warning at-risk settings tab. Run a report to view the students who meet those at-risk criteria that you've set up. You view that then on the early warning at-risk tab. So here you set up the parameters, so who you want to capture in that report, and then on the early warning at risk tab, that's where you can view that report. So it's pretty handy. Set up those discipline referrals, how you want to capture students who maybe have 3 discipline referrals, 5, so on and so forth. So you can set that up. Absences, and then low grades. You can set up how you want to view students who might be at risk in any of those categories. And then, like I said, your early warning at-risk settings tab is where you define the at-risk levels for the discipline referrals, low grades, and absences. And then that early warning at-risk tab, you view the students who fall into one of those predefined at-risk categories. And then you can export all of that data into a CSV file to identify those students.
And like the student tab, you still have the ability to sort that by the current term or year to date, which is kind of nice if you're narrowing it down to a particular grading term.
Yeah, and we can take a closer look at that too when we get into a live look here, which we're doing right now. All right, so I'm gonna start here at my JMC home page, and I think I need to switch here to the building level. I'm going to come to File and then Admin Dashboard. All right, so here's that first student tab. And like we said, I can look at all active students, inactive, just all students in general, or I can narrow it down to a specific grade level. I can select specific students if I want to include, look at them that way on this report, or I can look at all students. Again, I can select advisors, I can select teachers, I can select activity, but you have a wealth of information here that you can view per student. And then if you click on this little arrow here, then you can even view primary contact information, activities. This student has more primary contacts here, but you can get some additional information here. And then this is a super handy link. You can email all teachers of this student right from this page as well. All right, and then we have the student settings tab. So this just allows us to identify any other data points that we want to collect to be able to view on that student tab. All right, anything else that I'm missing here, Brian? Anything you want to add on the student or the student settings tabs?
Just that first column, that ineligible activity entry, that will always be on the student tab. And you have the ability to mark students as ineligible either on this tab, or it talks to the view student data window. So if you change it here, it changes on the view student data window. If you change it on the view student data window, it'll change on this report as well.
And I suppose we could go there really quick and see. So same student that was at the top of our dashboard right here. So those are the 2 places that Brian was talking about. All right, and then we will take a look here. We'll jump over to that early warning at-risk settings. So this is the really handy option here where you can identify students who are meeting some of those at-risk categories here, or at-risk behaviors. So students who have a certain number of discipline referrals. You can be looking for students who are meeting absence thresholds, and then also students who are earning low grades in their classes. So you can set these up to configure how you want to view these at-risk students. And then you can right here schedule a daily alert. So you'll be alerted when students fall into one of these at-risk categories. And you can always come here as well and view the list of students who are meeting those thresholds.
I believe when that report comes, it'll only include students who have met a threshold for the first time or moved from one threshold to the next. So you're just made aware of changes on that report.
Yes, absolutely. Good point, Ryan. Okay, do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions about the admin dashboard feature?
I'm not seeing any, but they can always type them in at any time, and we'll pause and do our best to answer.
Absolutely. All right. Then we'll take a look at the MTSS solution, the Flex Scheduler. In an effort to improve student learning, many schools are implementing response to intervention, RTI, as a part of a multi-tiered system of support plan. JMC's Flex Scheduler helps organize the changing subjects, flexible rosters, and varied time periods associated with an MTSS system, so teachers can plan interventions, manage attendance, and monitor student growth from one convenient platform. MTSS is a framework that allows teachers to identify individual students or small groups who are in need of additional support in meeting grade level standards, or who could benefit from enrichment through project-based learning or real-world hands-on application of skills. Schools are setting aside chunks of time throughout the school day to allow teachers to work with individual students or small groups in a guided study hall type atmosphere. Bolt time, buck time, power hour, and win time are all examples of an RTI component within an MTSS system. The Flex Schedule calendar in JMC Office allows users to set up a time within the existing schedule to account for MTSS periods. You can provide a unique name for your MTSS period and set it up to repeat daily, weekly, or monthly. And if you have multiple MTSS time periods throughout the day, it's super easy. You can set multiple flex periods throughout the day with different names, so students and teachers can differentiate those MTSS periods. The foundation of every MTSS system emphasizes student ownership of their learning, with teachers as facilitators who guide by providing timely and actionable feedback. Teachers create flex offerings right from JMC Teacher and set capacities to prevent an overloaded room. The student selected, teacher selected, and teacher locked designations communicate valuable information to MTSS leaders and put the most valued members of the system, students and teachers, in control of their learning. So just to kind of give a big picture view here, on the office side, you would go in, you would create a calendar, you'd set aside certain periods or chunks of time in a day, whether that is every day, if it's weekly, however you want that to repeat, but you can set that up. And then students and teachers can kind of work together to take the times that they need. So when students are kind of in control of what they need and where they need to go, they can select those MTSS offerings. But if there are students who a teacher has identified as needing that help, teachers can put them in that offering. Teachers can even lock them in that offering. So there's a few options to make it flexible to work for your school and your students. So we'll start by talking about student selected flex offerings. Students demonstrate good academic behavior by selecting the flex offering that best meets their academic needs from JMC Student when the student access window is open in JMC Office. Teachers selected flex offerings. Teachers select students to place on their flex offering roster to offer guidance to those who need help and to communicate MTSS requests with other teachers. And then you've got teacher locked flex offerings. So teachers have the ability to lock students into a selected offering to communicate the urgency for targeted support to teachers and students. Students who are locked into a flex offering are unable to select a different option. JMC Office offers a variety of tools for administrators, counselors, and other MTSS specialists to monitor offerings and student rosters as overseers of an MTSS system, create offerings for teachers, and add students to the roster right from JMC Office to streamline the process for teachers. You can view and edit offerings created by teachers, view rosters for each offering, and see the students who are not in an offering to supervise your school's intervention times. We can kind of take a brief look here at the Flex Scheduler. I'll maybe just pull up the calendar in JMC Office, but there are some really great resources that we have on our YouTube training channel that will walk you through the whole process. But we'll just take a moment here and look at the calendar in JMC Office. Anything you want to add about the Flex Scheduler, Brian?
No, I think it just offers a lot of flexibility to schools, whether that be for MTSS. I've heard some creative uses where, maybe teachers get together and plan a day of some, special offerings. The Flex Scheduler is a way that students can opt into some of those types of things as well.
All right, so from your JMC homepage, we're going to still be in this file menu here, and I'm going to come down to Flex Schedule Calendar. And this is, you can see here, we've got, we have an offering, this advisory hour, every day from 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. So it repeats throughout. I'm gonna click on this here. So when you create a new offering, you give it a name, a start time, an end time. You can put in the period that it would take place during and throughout your school day. If I'm making a change here, it would be to this event, or I can choose to make to this event and the following events. If this was a brand new offering, then it's where it would ask me if I want it to repeat, and I can select that time. Like, do I want it to repeat daily, monthly, and so on and so forth. So this is where you would create those offerings, and then you can work with your teachers and to create those specific rosters or the specific offerings within that flex period that's been created on this calendar. So do we have any questions on the flex scheduler?
Nope, we've been going back and forth in the Q&A a little bit. Some questions back on the early warning dashboard, but I think we've got it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, then we'll look at tracking student progress toward graduation next. The credit checker is JMC office's credit checker is comprised of utilities and reports to ensure students are on track to graduate with their class. Use the credit checker utilities to manage graduation requirements, which may be defined for each graduation year, including requirements for specific subject areas, as well as overall minimum credit totals. Even run reports to alert you of students who may not be on track for graduation based on their past and current course load. When a credit checker report is generated, it is based on the current state of the student's transcript records. So courses completed, grades assigned, courses that they're registered for. So you can make sure those transcript records are accurate and up to date. Before establishing the graduation course and credit requirements, the names of the subject areas need to be defined. Adding in the subject ID, the subject area in which the students need to earn credit, such as math, science, art, and the graduation year will ensure that the courses are properly added. So we're just talking here a little bit of setup, how you would start getting the credit checker rolling in your school. So after adding and editing your subject areas, you'll need to define the graduation requirements for each graduating class by setting the specific courses for each subject area. This will set the number of credits a student needs from the specific subject area to graduate. So we, in our last step here, we define the names of the subject areas. And then here we're going to go into each of those subject areas and define the classes that need to be taken in each of those subject areas, as well as you define the total number of credits needed to graduate and so on. You can run test reports to make sure the courses and the credits are successfully set up. A successful test report ensures accurate requirement setup, so counselors will have correct credit check information for students throughout the school year. So we can take a quick look here at the credit checker. Brian, is this a tool that you used at your school?
We were in the process of getting ready to use it, and I do say process because setting up your credit checker is a bit of a labor-intensive activity at first, but once it's done, it really is a really powerful tool. I know our counselors are really excited about it. But it does take a certain amount of time to set it up. Paul Freed, our esteemed leader, recommends that if you have the time and the patience, that you think about building out the credit checker one cohort or year at a time. So start with your current freshmen, get all the coursework in for them, then roll into the next year, update it for they're now their sophomores, and bring in the new freshmen. And if you have the time and the patience to build it out, it can be done in 1 year. You just need to be really organized and have your graduation requirements and coursework in front of you as you do this. We do have a more specific resource that goes into the detail about how to do this.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And that's true of all these things that we're showing you today. We're just kind of giving you a high level view. But we do have some very detailed resources, videos, articles, and so on that we can share with anyone who's interested in learning more. But to get to the credit checker, we come to grading credit checker. We'll start here by looking at those edit subject areas. So this is where you would outline the subject areas that your courses will fall under for students to meet those graduation requirements. And here, when I come to the edit graduation credit requirements, this is what we were talking about. And this is what Brian was getting into. When you start building this, start with your class of freshmen, go into each of those subject areas, look at the courses that are required, making sure that you look at the total credits required for each subject area, the total credits required for graduation. You find the courses from your course list in JMC, you add it to the groups over here, and then you just keep building this up year to year. I don't know how much more detail I should go into. Anything I'm missing, Brian? Anything else I should take a peek at?
No, I think it's the kind of task that they're going to want to look at the specific resources, watch the video on the credit checker, and look at some of the help center articles and how you go about attacking this. But well worth the time and investment to get your credit checker set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, and it looks like someone would love to have some of those resources, so I'll make sure that those get emailed out. I'm just making myself a note. Okay. And we'll move on to monitoring student behaviors. The discipline module in JMC Office offers a streamlined process for teachers to record disciplinary interactions, enabling administrators to review behavior patterns, track state reporting requirements, and share updated information with families and relevant stakeholders. Users can create custom problem behaviors and actions or select from a list of predefined options within the module, saving you valuable teaching time. So first, we'll talk about data. The discipline module in JMC provides a seamless experience for entering, editing, and customizing disciplinary actions and infractions. With 4 key pages in the data menu, users can easily manage student discipline records, including viewing current and past records, enter new incidents, and edit existing ones. So you can edit student data here. We've got discipline data, edit student discipline. It's your one-stop shop for students' discipline history. You can view discipline records from the current and prior school years. You can see a complete view of the student's permanent record and enter new or edit existing discipline records. So that all takes place here on the edit student discipline page. And then you've got edit problem behaviors. So this is what I was talking about just a few moments ago. JMC has these predefined problem behaviors that are already loaded into the system. So for the most part, any of those problem behaviors that might occur during the day, you're going to see them here. If there are things that are more specific to your school or you want a more customized list, then you can create those user-defined problem behaviors down here in this section. And then the same is true for actions. So the consequence of that discipline infraction. So once again, we've got predefined actions here. So you can review this list. It's pretty comprehensive, but if there's anything that you think is missing or any actions that are specific to your school, you can add those as well in this user-defined actions box. So there's a lot there for you to help you save time, but it's also customizable so that it can really match the tone of your school.
Couple comments, if we could go back to that slide just for a second, Rachel.
Yeah.
The predefined actions, you'll notice they all have numbers associated with them. A lot of those predefined actions are tied to state reporting in the different states in which JMC operates. So if you are creating your own user-defined ones, just make sure you don't duplicate the actions from up above. And my experience was that sometimes less is more, both on the actions and then when we get into the as well as when we looked at the behaviors, is you don't want to get overly specific on either one of these windows, because the reports that you're going to look at later are more powerful if you don't have a zillion different actions and behaviors that you're trying to sort through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. yeah, these are going to be actions, and then also, problem behaviors that are recognized by the state. So it's good best practice to really look through this list before you start creating your own, because Brian's right, you don't want to duplicate those. And then the last item here on the discipline data menu is to merge discipline referrals. So you can review discipline referrals from teachers and convert them into formal discipline records. So you can accept or reject disciplinary referrals submitted by teachers via JMC Teacher. You can view a student's previous problem behavior totals while accepting a new referral. You can send the disciplinary record to a student's primary contact, advisor, or referring teacher. So one thing that is great about our discipline module is that you can, sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought. The office always has like that final stamp of approval. So teachers can send something in, you can take a look at it if you want to discuss it with the student, and then it's up to you to decide if you want to accept this as a formal discipline referral or if it can be handled a different way. So you have you have the last say on the office side. And then we'll take a look here too at discipline reports. The discipline module in JMC Office is equipped with a variety of reports that offer valuable insights into student discipline records. These reports provide the necessary tools to effectively manage and analyze disciplinary data, enabling informed decision-making and the establishment of a positive disciplinary environment in your school or district. So we were looking at all of the items first in the data menu, and now we're under discipline and reports. So first we've got this student report here. It's a report on student infractions with each student on a separate page. So you can view all your student discipline records in one report for any date range within the school year. You can print the report for one student or for a group of students. And then you've got discipline query. It's a report on students matching the selection criteria. So you can query a specific problem behavior and or consequence in a date range. The selection criteria include the number of occurrences, which problem behaviors or actions, which reporting people, and then other sorting detail options as well. We've got the discipline summary here. The discipline summary is a report summarizing subtotals by a variety of breakdowns. So a summary of all students for a specified date range, including breakdowns by problem behavior, action, and reporting person. You can view the total number and percentages of discipline referrals with a bar graph. So it's hard to see here at the bottom of the page, it got cut off a little bit, but you can get a bar graph there that kind of gives you another visual of all this data that you're looking at. And then we also have discipline incident. It's a report of all state reportable discipline incidents for the current year. So list of all state reportable discipline incidents across the district for the current year, including perpetrators and victims, sorted by incident number. You can print the report or export it to a CSV file with additional student information, including the state ID number. So all the data that you put in there can be put into these reports. A lot of different ways to sort your data, a lot of different ways to view it. So whatever those reporting needs might be, you can get that discipline data here. Anything else you want to add about discipline, Brian? Maybe I lost Brian for a minute. I'm guessing he'll be back. We'll keep going for now.
Sorry, Rachel. I'm
back.
back.
That's okay.
I was looking at a question.
Sure.
Let's see, are you still hearing me? So I don't want to mute myself.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
So Kristen says last year we could set up an email for a group to get the discipline reports. This year it's check for a group, but only one staff is getting them. Not exactly sure what Kristen means by a group, but you can email those discipline reports to multiple staff members if you so desire, or to all teachers that have that particular student.
Yeah, we can maybe take a look at that right now. So if we go to discipline data, we'll go to edit student discipline here. Okay, so I am just going to take this first discipline record here. I'm going to edit. I can come in here. I think since this one is already done, I don't know that will still get the pop up to email it. I do not, oh, right up here. I just have to, I was clicking the wrong button. So I think this is what Brian was talking about up here. So I'm going to email the selected record. You can email it to primary contacts, to the student's advisor, the teachers. I can email it to the students, but then you can also include anyone else. So if you want to send it to counselors or any other stakeholder, you would just put in that email address here. You can put in multiple email addresses separated with a comma. And then include a reply to if you want to, and then any additional information that you want to include about this discipline referral, because this will be sent to whoever you select up here, but then you can include an additional message to be included in that email. And one thing that's really handy is if I click this checkbox right here, if I put a check mark there, it will simultaneously create a communication record for this discipline referral so that I know this has been communicated with whoever are the relevant stakeholders in this case. So does that kind of answer that question?
She kind of followed up. She said 5 admins are checked to receive them this year, our group, and only one of us is actually receiving them. I know there's another place in JMC where you can indicate that you want people to be notified every time referrals come in. That might be what she's referring to. So I'm wondering if maybe an email to our support email might be the best way to go about figuring out what exactly box needs to be checked to get Kristen back on track here.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Kristen, you can email support@jmcinc.com. And something that's always handy is if there's any screenshots or anything that you want to include with it, so then our support can give you some targeted help to solve that problem. All right, any other questions about discipline?
Not seeing any at this time, Rachel.
All right. All right, then we'll talk about opening lines of communication. Communication is key at JMC. Message Center, our fully integrated voice, email, and text messaging module, makes it easy for schools to build positive relationships with their families and students. With Message Center, users can direct message to specific groups by grade level, by activity, course, and even bus number, record and save common messages for future use, or use our text to voice feature to type a message that will be read by your choice of a male or female voice when the call is placed. From sending weather alerts to monitoring outgoing message progress to reviewing staff messaging usage history, the Message Center module has everything you need to keep all stakeholders up to date. Log into JMC Office and select the Message Center module to learn more. The need to send out mass texts, voice messages, and emails may arise at any point in the day, so it's important to be able to send different types of messages to your students and families. The Message Center has 4 different types of messages to choose from to communicate with your contacts and specific groups. So up here, you've got emails, you can send text messages, you can select this phone call here, and this is that text to voice. So whatever you type in, it would be like an automated voice, whether you select it to be a male or female voice, will read the message that you've typed. And then you also have recorded phone calls. So this takes a little bit of setup. You have to go in and create that recording. But once you have it set up, if it's something that you might use often, whether it be like a late start to a snow day or letting families know about maybe lockdown drills or something like that, you can save those recorded phone calls to use over and over again. You've also got the ability to email and text all at once. So you type in one message, it's sent out 2 different ways. And then similarly, email, text, and phone all at the same time.
Hey, Rachel, could we
yeah.
go back for just a second and take there's a good question here. Is there a way to portion groups by bus groups or geographic region or custom groups for mass text messages, etc.?
Yeah.
Bus groups we could do for sure. I'm not sure about custom groups.
The best way to do a custom group, you could go into our activity module, and if you set up some of those custom groups as like activities, whatever you want to name them, group 1, group 2, so on and so forth. If you set them up by activity, then you could come in here and message that way. So it would take a little bit of setup, setting up those groups in the activity module, but then you'd be able to message them specifically. One other thing I can show you while I'm on this page that I think is a fantastic feature is this send now or schedule time. I'm the kind of person that if I have something on my mind that I know I have to do later, it is going to bug me until I do it. So I would like to come in here, select schedule time, and then I would send my message out to go out on the day where it's going to be a little bit more relevant. So if something's coming up in 2 weeks, I don't need to send a message about it right now, but in a week I might like to, so I can set that up, schedule it for a week from now, and then get that off of my mind.
We used to use that all the time.
Yes.
Both to remember to make sure it goes out, but also if we knew a message was likely to generate, a bunch of questions or phone calls and it was already late in the day, we'd just schedule that to go out, after office close time. And then people had a chance to process the message and we could respond to questions or replies in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then you can also view the status of your message. So after sending or scheduling your messages, monitor their delivery progress and time. For messages in progress, see how many have been delivered and how many are still left to go. You can even edit the date and or time for a future scheduled message. And finally, delete a message you no longer need to send. Whether a phone call or text message is sent from JMC office, or our mobile apps, you can find a comprehensive list of what messages were sent, who sent them, who they went to, and when they were delivered. The message log allows you to easily see all these details, as well as print or export the log for future reference. And this is pretty handy. Every so often I would have parents would reach out and say, well, I'm not getting these messages. So I could go in and I could look and I could see everybody that it was sent to. So, then we can kind of troubleshoot what the problem might be. But I would see, yeah, they're on the list. It should be going out. So that's just kind of a handy way to double check that families are getting the messages, kind of keep tabs on what communication is coming in and out of the school. So it's a pretty handy feature. Anything you want to add about the messaging log, Brian?
No, just these reports are handy because parents do have the option to opt out of messaging. And often that's exactly what has happened when a parent says, well, I'm not getting these messages anymore. It's because they've replied to that text message at some point in time asking for messages to stop.
Yes. And right down here, this phone number status, that page will give you a handy view of everybody who has opted out. All right, after perfecting your phone recordings to be sent out to your students and families, manage and view them here. This is the one-stop shop for managing those recordings, where you can review them before sending or simply rename them to make it easier to select for sending at a later date. So this is what I was talking about. You got to come in here and you got to set up these phone recordings before you can send them out. But once you've got them, you can use them as many times as you'd like. And who has free time to call parents and guardians at 9 o'clock? If a student is absent the first period of the day, messages can be sent up to automatically call families to notify them of their students' absences. So this attendance notification settings allows you to send out automated attendance alerts. So if you want to call only for unexcused absences and not excused absences, no problem. It's customizable here. So there's an email address that the daily report would be sent to. So whoever is going to be responsible for that, they can get the report and see everybody that was notified that day. You can select what type of attendance should be called about, the time of day, and then any additional information. So call the school office or anything else that parents need to know to follow up on this. Sometimes you want to look back and see the past messages sent. The detail log gives you an in-depth look at the message type, the building, which school year applies to, who sent it, the location of the message, the date, and any queued data. So an export is even available, so you can file the log, export away for future reference. Sometimes I'd look at these things like, hey, what was I sending out about this time last year? Is there anything that I'm forgetting? So then you can look at them and use that verbiage again the next year. So we can take a live look here at the message center. All right, so I'm going to come back to my home page. I'm going to come down to message center, send a message. So this is where you can choose a million different ways to narrow down the group of people who would be receiving your message. So by grade, then you would select, grade to and from, sequential. So you would type in student ID numbers. You can select by random and select a specific student. But another thing that I would use frequently is by random contact. So if you want to reach out to mom, but not dad, like if mom has volunteered for something and you don't think that both parents need to get the communication, you can just pick one specific contact rather than all of the primary contacts of the student. So I thought that one was pretty handy. But this is where you can choose by bus route, which once you click in there, you can identify which route, if you have that set up. And then again, by activity. So if you can put groups of students together by activity, and then you'd be able to select that here. Then you would go ahead and select the message type. But I think someone's got their hand up here. Sam, if you want to type your question into the Q&A, we can get to it while we're on the message page here. I'll keep going through some of these message types. We've got the email. So if you select email and you select the range of students, click OK, you see the number of contacts for this grade level that we would be emailing. You get an email box that pops up, text message looks just a little bit different, and so on and so forth. So I can send my message to all contacts, to the primary contacts only, but I can also include students if that's necessary. And then that ability to send it now or schedule send. So Sam's got a question here and wants to know where we set up bus group options in student data or otherwise. Sam, I will send you the resources that you need to set up your bus groups. All right. All right, thanks, Sam. Sam says we rock. I agree. I think we do too. What do you think, Brian?
I'm not going to argue with her.
All right, so it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Then you can look at your message status, your phone calls, your text messages, and so on and so forth. I'll take a quick look here at the phone number status. So this is where you can view a list of parents who have opted out. So if someone is saying they're not getting messages, this is a great time or a great place to look to see who has opted out and get them opted back in. So any other questions on the message center?
I don't see any questions, Rachel, but I will comment that, and I should have said it when we were back on the screen, but our message center does work hand in hand with our community messenger. If that's something that you look to add to your resources, you don't have to go to two places to send messages if you want to include your community message members as well.
Yeah, great point. And then you can choose, if you click this include community members, all members, or again, you can sort by group. So however you have that community messenger set up. So yeah, if anybody is interested in community messenger, please reach out and we will get you some information on that. Great point, Brian. All right. Oh, and if there's no further questions, then we'll kind of dive into what we've got coming up here at JMC. We have got preparing for the end of term. It's hard to think that that's already coming up, but next week you can learn about preparing for the end of term in JMC office. The first week of October, we're going to talk about civil rights data collection reporting. So we've got a lot of tools to help ease that reporting and simplify it for you. The second week of October, ending the term in JMC teacher. So we'll learn how to do it in office, and then we'll turn around and learn how to do it in teacher. And then the third week of October, we're on the road with JMC. You can meet us at a conference near you. You can start the term off right with a messaging app that tightens engagement across your entire district community. JMC's Community Messenger, this was what Brian was just talking about. From an admin dashboard with all the data needed to enhance messaging to robust preferences for community members, it's one handy tool. If you want to add Community Messenger, you can do that for just 42 cents per student, and you can reach out to sales@jmcinc.com. And we're here to help you with your end of term to-dos in person and virtually. Our CSS team will visit your building in October to ensure that you have all you need to succeed and follow up with a resource-packed email on submitting grades, creating academic reports, and more. In the meantime, you can register for our September 25th training, what I was just talking about. So preparing to end the term in JMC office. Summer might be wrapping up. I think it's almost in the rear view mirror there, but there's still time to play in the JMC sandbox. It's a duplicate of your school's JMC site where you can experiment with scheduling and all of our tools while keeping your live data safe and sound. You can get a JMC sandbox covering all buildings for just $868 per year. If you're interested, again, you can contact sales@jmcinc.com. And on behalf of myself and Brian, thank you so much for attending this webinar, and thank you for choosing JMC.